Alright, so let's go ahead and review how to do the AC method of factoring. I know most of you guys should have been taught this last year in Algebra 2. So the AC method of factoring gets its name from the basic, where we have the basic form of ax squared minus bx plus c. My a is the number in front of my x squared, and my c is the number in sign, or my constant basically at the end. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply these. So we're going to do 3 times 9, and this gives me 27. I am then going to list all of the factors of 27, which gives me plus or minus 1, plus or minus 27, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 9, and that's it. And I'm going to ask myself, which combination of these factors, when I multiply, it gives me a positive 27. That means the signs have to be the same. So it's either going to be a negative negative or a positive positive. And they're going to add up to be my B term, which is negative 28. Well, in that case, it's going to be negative 1 plus a negative 27 gives me my negative 28. So I know what combination I'm going to be using. I'm using negative 1 and negative 27. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this middle term. I'm going to rewrite this as 3x squared. I'm going to split this term into those two factors. So a negative 1x, you could just write negative x if you want, minus 27x plus 9. So I just split this negative 28x up into a negative 1x and a negative 27x. I didn't change the equation. Now, you're going to have to be very, very careful, because next we're going to group. So I'm going to group my first two, and I'm going to group my second two. If you notice, I included this negative sign, so I'm going to add a plus sign in between, because I have to make sure I'm still adding. I'm not multiplying at this point. The reason why I did that is so that you don't make a mistake on your signs. If you would have just gone to the 27 with the minus, you would have messed up your signs, because you would have changed your 9 to a negative 9. All right, so now we're going to just simply factor by grouping. And we're going to say, all right, well, 3x squared and x have what in common? Well, they have an x in common, and that leaves me 3x minus 1. Then I'm going to come over here, and whenever I have a negative here, I always want to factor the negative out. So I have a negative 27x and a 9 in common. Well, what do they have in common? They're going to have a negative 9 in common, and that's going to leave me a positive 3x minus 1. Now, if you noticed, this term and this term are the same. If you have done it correctly, those terms will be the same. Now, I'm going to look at this big term here and this big term here and say, hey, you know what? X times 3x minus 1 and 9 times, or a negative 9 times 3x minus 1, what do they have in common? Well, it has a 3x minus 1 in common, and that leaves me my x minus 9, and you're fully factored, and that is the AC method of factoring. Hopefully you remember this from last year. There's some practice problems for you to do, but not terribly bad. Hi, I'm Mr. Buzzard, and these videos are supplemental instruction for my students. If you found the video enjoyable, make sure you click the like button and click subscribe, as well as the bell for notifications to receive future videos on high school mathematics.